Hello everyone, welcome to my talk. Today we are going to talk on mixed method research. First of all, I thank you all of you who have a patience. It was an interruptions due to my internet connections, and that's why I am doing now the recording. Today's talk will be on mixed method research design from the book that is written by the John Creswell. In our today's topics, we will talk on mixed method research. So what is mixed method research? Let's go to the definition. Creswell and Kirk 2011 gave a very combined definitions on mixed method research. There they talked that a mixed method research design is a procedure for collecting, analyzing, and mixing both quantitative and qualitative methods in a single study or a series of studies to understand a research problem. In the definitions, we can find that mixed method research is not a single types of research where we collect the data, analyze the data. Here we get both quantitative and qualitative procedures of the data. A study can be single or the study can be multiple study based on the research problem. Before understanding about the mixed method research, we also need to understand the chronological development of the mixed method research. It means from where this mixed method research has been emerged in the 21st century. First, in 1930s, a group of scientists actually used their quantitative parts of the data in mixed method studies. And that was the start or the beginning points of the mixed method studies. Because generally when our research we do our collecting data, we go from the single point of view, like we go for the quantitative or we go for the subjective analysis. But in 1930s, that was the first time when quantitative data was introduced along with some subject matter. In 1973, Seaver suggested that the combinations in-depth case studies with survey creating a new style of research and the integration research technique within a single study. In 1973, another way for the mixed method research. It means the combinations of the data that comes from the quantitative and the qualitative has give a new style of research according to his. Then in 1979, Hick used a complete combinations of the mixed method research that we are going to discuss today. In his research, the instruments that he used were basically from both quantitative and the qualitative structure. He used survey that we use for our quantitative structure. He used the semi structures or the interview and a comprehensive study he found from his study. And Jig study, if we go little bits of the Jig study in 1979, we will find that this study was not only the merger of quantitative and the qualitative data. This study also illustrated the procedure of the most important thing that we call the triangulation of the data process. And Jig used this triangulation data process from a naval military science, because in naval military science they have a process where sailors use multiple reference points to locate an object, and that gives them an exact position at sea. At the same time, he used these techniques of the triangulations in the mixed method research so that he gets his objective done for his research. And applied to this research, it means investigators or the researchers improve both collecting the data and then convert or integrating the meaning of the data in a more phenomenal way. And that was the reason in recent times these researchers, Creswell, Canocker, Green, Teshekuri, Tetley, They are advocating the mixed method research in order to give you a better understanding of the research problem. Let's give you a small example before giving you an idea about what is mixed method. This is the John Creswell book that we are discussing on. I will come back to this slide a bit later. This is a hurricane story in New York City. See the two picture very clearly. You will see one picture in the right. A CNN reporter is describing you about the scenario of the hurricane. It means he's giving you the data that is more of the number base, that gives like when the hurricane happens, what altitude it was, and how far it was, and when the hurricane happens, what forces has been attacked, and wind situation was how much, and how depth it was. So almost the figure of the research is more on the number base. The data is more quantified. And also when the hurricane attack, at the same time, in the left picture you see women is crying. It means the emotions of the people has been attached also with the problem, and there are many things happen, many sufferings happen. So when your research is in such sector, you are choosing to describe something research problem in this way only, you cannot get the data and your research problem through only one type of research. And in that section you need combinations of both quantitative qualitative combinations, and that is actually the reason why in today's section we the researcher focuses on the mixed method research. Like any other mixed method research sections, also before we go to the mixed method, we also need to know what is quantitative research and what is the advantage of the quantitative research advantage and the limitation. So the advantages of the quantitative research is definitely it gives you the numbers of the people and efficient of the data analysis, because number gives you the exact figure, and that will like a calculate, that will not give you something like subjective answer. It gives you the exact answer of the numbering. Demonstrate the relationship through numbering, also why it has happened. It gives you something the figure. Examine probable cause and effect, that gives a confirmatory section. Bias control, it's a mathematical operation, statistical figures will come. And people like numbers. If you say that what happens in the hurricane, you tell them that exactly it kills 160 people. So that numbers people like. People does not want to listen a long story. It has some advantage. What is the limitations? Limitations are it's impersonal and dry. Do not hear the words of the participant. There is nothing here you will get from the participant's point of view. What happened? You will not get the emotional phenomenons in this data. And limited understanding of context of the participants, largely researcher driven. Actually, what researcher want to do survey according to his statistics, that actually gives them the quantitative research. Qualitative research, according to Creswell, he gives the advantages that it's a detailed perspective of a people's point of view. We are getting more with the emotion and the subject, can hear the voice of the participants, understand participants experience within context. It means in the hurricane sections, if you go to that research problem, you will find that what actually happens, and people's voice gives you the more better understanding, built from views from participants, not from the researchers. Like we will take the data from the participants' point of view. What happens? Not like the researcher as a survey that I design and that happens. People like stories, and people also want to listen stories. Limited generalizability, soft data, these are the limitation. Few people studied, highly interpreted, and reliance on participant minimization. These are some limitations of the study. As this reading circle is focused more on the mixed method research, let's go quickly on the mixed method research. Okay, before going to the mixed method research, these are the quantitative and the qualitative data that we are going to use for the data analysis. In quantitative section, we mostly go for data descriptives and inferential statistics. And for that reason, we use quantitative design, site permission, systematic sampling treatment, data cleaning, and also some of the statistical software we use for this data analysis, and most importantly, validity and reliability also we go through. In qualitative, also we use some of the software like NVGO and Atlas TI, and we go for the purposeful or the purposive sampling, repository types of data protocol, research question, data preparation, data analysis steps. These are the qualitative data analysis. And now when you have these two things in your data, quantitative, we have already seen the advantage and the limitations, and the qualitative also we have seen the advantages and limitations. According to Creswell, your when you have a particularly quantitative study, there you actually used a predetermined method, like you use a survey, then from the survey you get the data, you analyze the data. Then instrument based questions means if your instrument is a survey questions, you use that instrument survey questions, and then you get the data. Performance, attitude, observational and census data, statistical analysis. Most important thing is you use some descriptive and the inferential analysis in order to give the research problem what happens. And also statistical interpretation. It's all about numbering. So in one column, Creswell is saying the numbering is within. And in qualitative method, you get the emerging method. It's more open-ended questions, interview, observation. These are all from the participant's point of view. Theme, patterns, and interpretation. These subjective things you have. And this thing you need to combine in your mixed method research if your research problem is determined that you need a mixed method research. What are those? Predetermined and emerging methods. Both open and closed-ended questions you can introduce in your mixed method research, like Jick's 1979 studies he has introduced. Multiple forms of data drawing on possibility. Statistical test you can also do, and also you can do text analysis across database interpretation. So both, like the limitations of the quantitative and qualitative, that can be overcome in your mixed method strategy. Now, there are three basic mixed method design when you want to use your mixed method research. Among them, first is the exploratory sequential design. In exploratory sequential design, it's more qualitative exploration leading to a quantitative test. It means you first collect the data from a qualitative point of view, then from your qualitative research you go to again qualitative findings, then you go to the quantitative data collection and see whether the results give you the same interpretations or not. And this process is called the exploratory sequential design according to Creswell. And you see the picture here, you can find first the qualitative data. You will take the interview of the participants, then you will analyze of the interview of the participants, you get the theme and interpret based on the qualitative findings. After that, you go for the quantitative data collections and quantitative data analysis, perform some statistical data, then you interpret the data according to qualitative findings. This is called the exploratory sequential design. After exploratory sequential design, the opposite of the exploratory sequential, you can say the explanatory sequential design, and that is the quantitative result will vary the qualitative. That is called quanti-quali. First, you go to the quantitative data collection, then quantitative data analysis. After that, quantitative results of the statistical analysis. Then you get your findings. After these findings, you again go for the qualitative data collection, interpret the data, and your qualitative findings, and then you get the interpretations of data. These two exploratory and the explanatory sequential design is either quanti-quali or quali-quanti. There is another mixed method research design that we call the convergent design, where the researcher at the same time do the data collection, like he go for the quantitative data collection and the qualitative data collection at the same time, and at the same time he go for the analysis also, quanti analysis and the quali analysis. Then he gets both the result. After both the result, he get the interpretation, both interpretation in this way. So this is called quantitative qualitative results are compared, and then he compared the result. Let's see little bit more clearly. I'm not sure whether you can see the picture more clearly or not. In convergent parallel design, you have to get the data from, for example, this is your quantitative data. You get your quantitative data and also your qualitative data. This way you will get your results, and from here you will get your qualitative results. Then you merge the data result from your both quantitative results and the qualitative result finding. After you get this comparison, then you interpret on plain convergent design. That is the convergent design. And in the explanatory, the same thing. First you go for the quantitative data, then quantitative result, and determine the quantitative result. Qualitative data, after that qualitative result, then you interpret. Not the same time you do. At the same time, when you go for the exploratory sequential design, you go for the qualitative data, qualitative result, use the result from the variables, instruments, and inventions. Then quantitative data collections, analysis based on the variables and quantitative. After that, you interpret the data. This is how you actually get the method. It's a very, and among those three design, which method or design you will follow, it will absolutely determine according to your research questions or the research problem. I close my recordings here, and I thank you all of you for joining today. I hope you will choose your research design according to these three research mixed method research methodology. And I thank you all, and I really appreciate those who were attending the sessions, and thank you all.